is to record this. So now it's recording. If you're just joining us, you missed all that beautiful preamble, but that's okay. Welcome, so glad you're here. Just as a reminder, you have joined the meeting muted. Feel free to use the chat box as needed. We're recording the meeting and we encourage you to leave your video on, but you certainly do not have to. When we get to the Q&A portion, feel free to use the raise your hand button, or we're a pretty small group this morning, so you can probably just unmute yourself and ask your questions. So glad that you are here. You can always catch these recordings on our YouTube channel. YouTube, actually, I think I may have to update that link, but if you just search for Katherine Johnson STEM on YouTube, you'll find us. Okay. So it was an interesting week this week, and I thank you all for your patience as we've dealt with it. So over the weekend, LAUSD centrally learned of a targeted ransomware attack that happened on the district's cyber stuff. And I don't know all the technical details of it, but one of the things that when I became aware of it was Monday morning, when the district, as a precautionary measure, shut everything down and no employees could log into their accounts, their email, their work accounts, attendance, all of that stuff. Nobody could do that. And that's because the district reset everybody's password as a security measure. And so when we all came to work on Tuesday, nobody had any access, nobody had any password. And so on Tuesday, we did open schools district-wide, and we provided instruction. I told our team it was like, teaching circa 2004, where we've got an LCD projector, we've got a computer, but no Wi-Fi and no Chromebooks and nothing else. But I'm really proud of the way our team stepped up and led those activities, continued to focus on instruction. On that day, Tuesday, our first day back, our priority as a school was to get 100% of our staff back online. And so by the end of the day, I'm proud that we were able to get 100% of our staff back online and accessing to many of the things that we need. On Wednesday, LA Unified made some progress towards operational capacity. When they reset, 600,000 student accounts, it created a backlog for students to be able to reset their accounts and have access. But one of the nice things about being a small school is a couple of us got to school early Wednesday morning, and before school started, we were able to ensure that 100% of our students got a reset password, and they did. And so by the end of the day, Wednesday, 100% of our students were back online, and we were super excited about that. So by the end of the day, Wednesday, we were good. Thursday, LA Unified is still working on it, and even today, Friday, many schools are still working on resetting passwords. But I'm very pleased that we've been on it for 2 days and have been on top of it. Some of LAUSD's the most important systems are up and running. Schoology is up and running. Our attendance system is up and running. Those are the main ones that are up and running. There are a couple other systems that are still shut down temporarily, and we'll have access once the district turns them back on. One of them is the firewall here at the school that allows us to access things like Docusign. Another thing that the district hasn't turned back on is the firewall that allows us to access ClassDojo. So what's interesting is that while we still have access to our ClassDojo accounts, we can't get to it from the LAUSD network. So when you're getting updates on ClassDojo, it's most likely staff members using their phone and their data to do that. So thank you for your patience in terms of that. And over the next week or so, we expect LAUSD to have more and more operational effectiveness when it comes to technology. District-wide also, the district is convening a task force to really do a deep dive on computer security, figure out some specific next steps to make sure that we are securing everything, particularly employee data, student data, all of that. So as I know more as a principal, I'll certainly share that with our community members and you all as soon as I know that. So just want to give you an update, and I'll keep giving you an update as we move forward. Anyway, that didn't stop me from doing my favorite part of this job during the week, which is going into classrooms, seeing teachers engage, seeing students engage with learning. This is one of our 6th grade classrooms, and Mr. Ram is engaging with our 6th graders in a community circle, doing a learning activity together. I can't remember whether this was advisory or one of our classrooms that he was leading, but it was super exciting to be able to, again, spend time and see the joy on our students' faces as they continue to connect with each other and as they continue to learn. Some of you know, this is a small update. You may have noticed this, you might not have, but over the summer and up through last week, all our buildings were this marshmallow white color because we had been primed for a brand new paint job, and they paused over the summer and weren't able to get it done by the time school started. The good news is over the weekend, they came in and did a beautiful job repainting the sides of the buildings, painting our trim, painting our doors. So it looks really nice, makes it more appealing to our students. If you were here last night for back to school night, you saw that. You also saw some of our new signage that we put up on those A-frames throughout campus, reminding of our students of our expectations in the lunch area, making sure we're not like running on the concrete, welcoming our guests, and then our rules for playing basketball. And I get questions all this time, when are the basketball hoops coming up? And we're all ready to go. The hoops are ready, the signs are ready. It's just been so darn hot this week. So I'm waiting till it cools down a little bit, and then we'll get that up and ready to go. So thank you so much for those of you who've asked me about that. That's the update on that. Just as a reminder, every student in LA Unified eats for free this year, all year long, regardless of income. However, it's still important for the school that families take a moment and fill out the online form for a meal application. Even though it won't trigger you getting a meal, you get one anyway for free. But what it does do is it does provide additional funding for the school. So please, if you haven't done so already, take a few moments and respond to that. Just as a reminder, we have the Beyond the Bell program after school, Mondays through Thursdays from 3:46 to 6 p.m. On Fridays, it starts earlier at 2:17 when school gets out. As a reminder, if your child does participate in Beyond the Bell on Fridays, you can't pick them up until after 3:30 p.m. because that's when the high school dismisses. And so that's, you'll drive up the 91st Street gate to get that. The other piece is that we are actually excited to be launching, or Beyond the Bell is excited to be launching a flag football team this year. And so some of our students are going to be participating in that. I think the first game is actually tomorrow at Hamilton High School. And if folks don't know about that or are interested in learning more, I don't think it's too late to join, but what I'm going to encourage you to do is contact the Beyond the Bell supervisor. His name is Brian Bateman. His email is right there on the screen. It's also in the chat, brian.bateman@lausd.net, if you have particular questions about Beyond the Bell or specifically about flag football. Next, just a reminder, you should have gotten in the last couple of weeks a Docusign going over our school-wide expectations and some other forms. Thank you for those of you who reached out to me and said you didn't get it, so I manually sent it to you. Yeah, so if you haven't done this yet, look through your email, look for something from Docusign, and fill that out, and you click finish, and we automatically get it. COVID updates. So this is one of those websites that actually went down when the servers went down. So we don't have the school dashboard yet, but we do know that people still, may get COVID from time to time. And when they test positive, we say, stay home for at least 5 days. On the 5th day, test again. If it's negative, you can return on day 6. If it's positive, stay home for 5 more days, and then you can come back after the 10th day. So again, that's the update when it comes to COVID. 2 other quick updates that I didn't have a moment to put in the slide on, but I want to give you an update as to where we are on the search for a science teacher for 7th and 8th grade. And I appreciate all the questions I get about that. It shows that, we know how important that role is. So we've been flying the position for a couple weeks now. We've gotten some applications. I've not been thrilled so far with the with what I've seen on the application so far. So I'm not going to make a move until I am confident that the person we're bringing into that role is going to be excellent for our kiddos. In the meantime, we do have a substitute in there. We've had the same substitute all week this week. He'll be there again this upcoming week. And now that Schoology is back up and running, I will have an opportunity over the weekend to be posting science content and Spanish content for both of those classes. So starting next week, you should see, if you're for 7th and 8th grade, you should see science content on Schoology for your child. And if your child is in Spanish this semester, you'll see some Spanish content as well for them to engage in. Super flexible about grading, super flexible about due dates. Because we know, it's challenging to do that when there's a substitute in there. So I thank you for your patience. My standards are really high in terms of making sure that I get the right person there. So I'm going to keep on updating you as often as I can. The second update, and I totally forgot what it was, that I didn't have a slide for. And that's why I have slides. Yeah, I don't remember. It popped out of my mind. As soon as I start taking some questions, I'll remember what it is. Oh, I remember what it is. So thank you for all of you who filled out the interest in school committees forms. So I appreciate that. So everyone who filled out the form is going to be on at least one of those committees that they selected. And because I had a few phone calls this morning, and we won't need to do elections because the right number of people were willing to be like, oh, I can do it if there's room for me. If there's not, that's okay. But again, everyone who submitted something, you're able to be on at least one of those committees. Thank you so much. Be on the lookout in your email over the next couple days for our first committee meeting dates. And then once that happens at that committee, the membership will decide, what will be our schedule moving forward. So thank you so much for your partnership in advance. It's going to be an exciting year. All right. That was all of the announcements that I had. I want to open it up and see if there are any questions that folks might have. So let me stop the share, and there we go. So thank you. And I see the direct message to me. I got that. I think we're all set for right now. But if there's additional opportunities, I'll certainly communicate that to you. So thank you. All right. Thank you for the update. Is KJSA a nut-free school? Well, except for this nut right here of a principal. That is a good question. I think that's a question that I want to check in with our food service manager, Mr. Graves, on that, and then get back to you on that. That's an excellent question. Is KJSA a nut-free school? I will make a note of that and make sure I get back to you on that question. Thank you for that. What other questions might there be? And I will say this, because there are a lot of first-time families joining us for these Coffee with the Principals. What I have found is that sometimes there's tons of questions, and then sometimes there are zero, and both of those situations are absolutely fine. So yeah, so I'll see if there's any other questions. So there's a question right there. Thank you so much, Ms. Pitts. Has there ever been any consideration for before school care? So pre-pandemic, there was, and we actually had some before school care. The reason why it doesn't exist anymore is because California caught up with what we were doing as a school and decided it was good for all kids. And here's what I mean by that. Prior to the pandemic, Westchester High School started school at 8 o'clock, 45 minutes before we did. And what that meant was they had a librarian who was in the library the shared library at Westchester starting at 8 o'clock, which was before we opened our gates at 8:15. And so we had, I don't know, 3-4 families who would drop off their kids there at 8 o'clock, and they'd be supervised until, they came down here at 8:15 or so. In the last year, though, the state of California has decreed that every high school also start at 8:30 or later. So now Westchester High School is starting at 8:30. So by the time they start and there's a librarian, our gates are already open at 8:15. So that's why there used to be, and why there's not now. However, I will say that if there, I will certainly keep my ears to the ground and see if if there's any option for that moving forward. I'm currently not aware of that, but I will ask around and see if that's something that we can do. Thank you so much for that question. All right, Arista, let's see, can you unmute yourself? Let's see. Can I unmute you? Let's see.
Oh, it says it's unmuted.
There we go. I heard you for a second.
Oh, my question is, do you know when Picture Day is?
Not yet. I'll be honest, we haven't scheduled it yet. As soon as we schedule it, we'll send that information out to you, so you can know what that is and order pictures and make sure your kid's looking the way you want them to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Great question. And let me make a note of that too real quickly. So we got the Nut Free School, and then we've got the school, and then we got Picture Day. Great questions. Awesome. Any other questions before we wrap up for today? There's a question in the chat says, it seems that Beyond the Bell does not require that a child to be signed out when they leave. Is that typical? Yes, at the secondary level, that's typical. At, different than elementary school. Once the kids get to secondary, once the parent arrives, they don't need to be signed out. They can just go. It's similar to at the end of the day here. Once school ends, a secondary student can just walk off campus and either walk home or bike home or get picked up. So there is a shift at the secondary level. Great question though. I am just curious, although it's probably preaching, asking a question to a very biased sample size, but I'm curious in the chat about what I asked about earlier, the 9 a.m. or the 10 a.m. for this weekly. When I do live in person, my goal is to start that, or I probably limited. I'm probably having to do that at 10 a.m. based on when the facility opens, but I see a lot of folks here who I also see at 9. Is in the chat. I'm just curious, is 9 and 10 both doable for folks here, or is it like only 9 or only 10 or both? Just this is not the official feedback. I'm just trying to get a little straw poll. I figure if you're here, 10 o'clock might have worked well for you, and the people who couldn't do 10 don't have an opportunity to say so here, but I will send out something via Blackboard or Class Dojo or something. See some that say prefer 10, but 9 can do as well. Okay, got it. And there's different, and the reality is that there is no one time that's going to work for everybody, and that is why I record these and post them, so that if you can't come whenever it is, you can do it later. All right, well, if that's it, I want to thank you so much for joining today, and try to stay cool, and we will see we'll see you at pickup here at 2:17 p.m. today, and then we'll see everybody back here on Monday when we start up again. So thank you again, everyone. You are a wonderful community to partner with. It's a joy of mine to do these every week and to connect with you. So have a great Friday, everybody, and a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.